Hello, everyone. My name is Alison, and I have FND. I was diagnosed with conversion disorder in 2003. See my hand shaking there, it's one of my symptoms. And I have been living with the condition ever since. I am one of the people who does see a strong correlation between my symptoms and my psychological history and psychological traumas, but I am fascinated by research on FND itself. Like I said, I was diagnosed in 2003, and at that time, conversion disorder was the term. And my neurologist had to have me also see a psychiatrist to affirm or confirm that diagnosis. Since then, a lot of things have changed, and the condition is now FND, functional neurological disorder. And it is more and more being recognized as a neurological condition, even though there is some tie-in with psychological concerns and traumas for some people with FND. It's kind of cool. The newest research actually shows that there's structural changes in people's gray matter in our brains that is associated with FND. What they haven't yet been able to figure out is if those are changes in response to having the condition or if those are changes that caused the condition. Either way, it's kind of interesting. In any case, I have been living with it for a very long time, and I mostly used psychological supports, and I've been through a few different medications, which didn't help a whole lot. I did spend several years taking an anti-anxiety medication that also is known for decreasing seizure-like symptoms. In my case, again, my symptoms are not seizures. I have movement issues primarily. They're sometimes called tonic-clonic movements, in that sometimes the muscles are doing what they're not, are moving in ways they're not quite supposed to, and other times they are refusing to move in the way that they should. So, for example, I will sometimes have all the muscles in my legs tighten so I can't bend my knee, or my hip doesn't move quite the way it should. I'll also have times where my legs will almost collapse out from under me and I catch myself. Over the years, my symptoms have shifted a fair bit, up to and including I now have such small scale movements as my eyes have had a few times they've darted around in my head a bit. Like it was as if I was frightened or anxious, that panicky moment of like looking everywhere to see if things are okay. But I had no emotional response. I just had my eyes moving around like crazy. I also have a jaw symptom where my whole mouth will just clamp down and stretch out, and it'll freeze in either or both positions. The only good thing with that one is it's one of the few symptoms I actually have found direct useful treatment for, which is I chew gum. And focusing on chewing the gum minimizes how often my jaws clamp together, because while I'm busy chewing the gum, my jaws don't clamp. So it's interesting. I still end up with a slightly sore jaw, but not as bad as if I was just accepting that I couldn't do anything about the symptom. I also have sensory symptoms. So like the inner muscle on the inside of my left calf has been not sometimes painful, but more often just numb for about 3 years now. My neurologist and I just recently decided we're going to run a nerve conduction test on that to see if we can find what the actual cause, what the mechanical cause is. Is that one muscle, it's referred to as the soleus muscle, is that stuck tight and can't relax, or is something else going on? Or was it stuck tight, which got everything else flared up. I have been getting massage therapy on it. It's helped some. But basically, I've been living with all different kinds of movements and rocking and all kinds of stuff for a pretty long time now. It's a little over 15 years at this point. Actually, yeah, no. I've actually had symptoms starting in around the year 2000. So, yeah, 18 years of having FND. And the term FND isn't even that old, I don't believe. But I still do my best and live a pretty happy life. I live with my partner and our cats, Nigel and Rorschach. And since being diagnosed, I have created a very small consulting business in GIS, which I didn't have enough going on with that, and I ended up closing it down after I went to grad school, because yeah, I did that too. And so I have a master's in organizational change management, and I have also, my shoulder going, also since my diagnosis, I've been working on helping the FND community and helping the disability community in general. I have a blog going all about like living your best possible life while managing disabling conditions. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for what I have managed, and I'm pretty fascinated by the condition since it does affect everything in my life. And I just want to say to people out there who have been diagnosed and aren't sure what their next steps are, there is hope. There are ways to manage. The thing I found the most incredibly helpful was there are programs around the world that are intensive physical therapy, occupational therapy, and more specifically focused on managing FND symptoms. They're multidisciplinary teams. I participated in the MORE program, Motor Reprogramming Program, in Louisville, Kentucky in 2016. And it was the single most effective thing treatment I've ever had. It was just a week long, but I limped in there and I strode confidently out. I did fly there by myself, and the trip down, I really needed every disability support along the way. And on the way home, I didn't bother to disclose that I had a disability. I just got on the plane, did everything without asking for any accommodations whatsoever. It did help that I was flying out of the Louisville airport, which is not very big and everybody's very nice. And I flew in and had to go through, the check-in process in Newark Airport, which is much, much bigger and much less polite. But still, I'm very proud of it. Since then, I have had a setback. My partner had a severe health issue, and so I had a lot of additional stress. So I have regressed a bit since then, but on the mend again now. And I've really been working on managing myself, managing my life, meditating and exercising regularly, which is another thing I couldn't do before the MORE program. Before the MORE program, if I tried to exercise or do much of anything in a controlled, organized way, I would start shaking or slamming or doing other things that would prevent me from continuing to work on that. Since my treatment with the MORE program, I still do have symptoms come up while I'm doing things, but when they come up, I can usually pause and kind of take a deep breath and regain some control and be able to start again and actually do the thing. There's some days that's easier and there's some days where that's harder, but I do have a lot better control than I used to. And a huge part of it for me was that program, the MORE program. So I highly recommend that anybody who is working with their FND symptoms and has really accepted their diagnosis, because that's a vital part of this. You have to know you have FND, understand you have FND, really accept that that is what you have. But that program, it's amazing what it did. It really is. And I can't recommend looking into those programs enough because, like I said, it was transformational for me, and it helped me so much. And there was a lot I was achieving before then. I mean, I completed grad school and then entered that program about 6-7 months later. Grad school really put me back a lot, symptom-wise. But when I left the MORE program, I was in better shape than I had been before I started grad school. So it was impressive. And it was huge. And I want everybody that might be a useful treatment for to investigate, look into it, and see what you can do, because it's amazing. Anyway, I'm Alison, and I am FND aware, and I hope you all are now too. Thank you so much.